This is the last day of class Neuro-economics at the Erasmus School of Economics. My student had to do a very difficult class, so we learned a lot, new things. And now I'm going to listen to what they have absorbed from this class. So I'm very excited and look forward to listening to them. Thanks. Good luck.
When we think about conformity, most of us talk about the ES experiments that were conducted in 1956. Solomon Asch investigated the role conformity plays in the assessment of relative line segments, as you can see here. It was shown that whenever all the actors in the room gave the same wrong answer, the subjects were more likely to give that incorrect answer as well, even though the question seems very easy. This gives reason to believe that social influences our individual choices. And there are two psychological explanations for this. The first one is private acceptance. We align our beliefs to more closely match social norms. The second one is public compliance. This is submission to other people's expectations in order to avoid social rejection. And this is more or less the utility of being different. We want to be the same. It is shown that conformity overlaps with neural systems associated with goal-directed behavior. And this goal-directed behavior requires constant monitoring of the posterior medial frontal cortex. Monitoring posterior medial frontal cortex signals other brain regions to align our behavior in order to reach that goal. And to show the importance of the posterior medial frontal cortex, transcranial electromagnetic stimulation, TMS as we know, to subjects make them less likely to observe this deviation. In other words, they were less likely to change their behavior. The Rostow-Kinglet zone located in this area plays an important role in these models. Deviations from the outcome signal other brain areas that adjustment is required. And future failure is likely to happen if this does not happen. And this signal goes through the dopamine limbic system and eventually comes to the ventral striatum. Growing evidence also showed that the nucleus accumbens located in this ventral striatum is involved in this process as well. And as we learned in this class, it's associated with social rewards.
First, conformity and group-oriented motivation are interrelated in the status process. So you can say that people with a higher perceived status are less likely to be rejected and appear to be able to obtain more difference from others, and so are able to get more of what they want. But it is very difficult for a lower status person to bring together the right combinations of behavior to get additional talk contribution accepted and receive a higher status. Now you see two figures, and it said that higher status is actively pursued and defended because high status leads to more advantages, power, wealth, disposition, longevity within any organization and in any other social setting. So that's why status is for so many people important. Having high status leads to desirable advantages and that people will make effort to obtain that advantage. So it is a kind of singular. High relative status seems very important for some individuals. I think for so many individuals, it's so important that they even go into depth for it.
How does status affect consuming behavior? Why do people try to pursue these conspicuous goods while piling up debt? We looked at two studies. Out of these studies, they suggest that conspicuous consumption is more like a defensive strategy when there is conflict in social status level. Status and conspicuous consumption are interrelated, and given that in the last few years people had easy credit conditions, so these studies will give a potential explanation for the credit crisis that affected consumers' financial health in 2008. Now, our thoughts of the above, we think that status loss is like a social conflict which will activate the pathways in the brain, and it will let people conform to their previous status. They want to regain their previous status, and that's why they go into conspicuous consumption.